Good evening, everyone. I hereby call this fourth day, second regular session to order. Today is September 26th. The time is 6:16 here in the Vice Speaker Suspi Mufnas Memorial Building, Capitol Hill. It is my honor to welcome everybody here today watching online to this session. I ask respectfully that any devices, cell phones be put on mute or turned off at this time to minimize interruptions. And with that, I want to acknowledge that today's session is being streamed live on cable television, Channel 23, Senate YouTube page, the Northern Marianas Commonwealth Legislature Facebook page. And with that, I ask humbly that we please rise for a moment of silence. Ms. Kaipat, please call the roll.
Senator Babalta, Senator Calvo, Senator Castro,
Estia.
Senator Cruz,
Here.
Senator Hofschneider,
Here.
President King Neighbors,
Here.
Senator Magofnia,
Present.
Senator Manglonia Donald,
Present.
Senator Manglonia Paul.
Here.
Mr. President, we have 8 members present, 1 member absent.
With 8 members present, we have the requisite number to proceed with today's Senate hearing. Please let the record reflect that Senator Babalta is hereby excused from today's session. Moving on, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize our LB staff that is assisting us with this session today. In the back there is our fiscal analyst, Dave Demapan, our Sergeant at Arms, Sergeant Benjamin Tarlahi, also our youth coordinator, our youth Congress coordinator, and who's also dealing with our social media, Mr. Louis John Castro. Our legal counsel is Mr. Joe Bermudez. Our Senate clerk today is Ms. Joan Kaipat, and our senior IT is Mr. Jonathan Diaz. Also in the back is Ms. Jolyn Duenas Tagobal and Devin Macaranas, who are our LAs for today. As we move forward down the agenda, we go to item B, public comments. And this is a portion of our agenda where we allow anyone from the public to come up and provide any comments that relate to any agenda items on today's agenda. Please state your name and the entity that you represent, or if you don't represent, then but the floor is now open.
Good evening, Mr. President and honorable members of the Senate. I am Sonia Camacho. I am the Director of Courts, and I am here on behalf of Chief Justice Alexandro Castro and Presiding Judge Roberto Naraha and members of our bench. We are here to assist with any questions you may have regarding the judiciary and the impact of the proposal before you on the fiscal year 2026 budget. I am present with our General Counsel, Hyun J. Lee, and our Budget and Finance Officer, John Villagomez. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we proceed any further, I also want to recognize our Lieutenant Governor here in the gallery, Lieutenant Governor Dennis Mendiola. Thank you for being present today for this very interesting budget cycle, to say the least. With that, the public comment is still open. There being none, I hereby close public comments. And if there are no objections from the members, there are no communications from agenda item C through O. So I would like to go directly to the bill calendar agenda item P. No objections?
No objections.
At this point, I would like to recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have House Bill number 24-46 HD1 to define and identify general revenues and approve revenues and resources of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands as identified pursuant to Article 3, Section 9A of the CNMI Constitution as amended and 1 CMC Division 7 for fiscal year 2026 and make appropriations for the operations and activities of the government of the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, its agencies, instrumentalities, and independent programs, and to provide budget authority for government corporations for fiscal year 2026 and for other purposes. I move for its passage.
There has been a motion for the passage of House Bill number 24-46, House Draft 1, and has been seconded. Discussions. Recognize Chairman of the Fiscal Affairs.
Jesus Masi, Mr. President, and good evening to everyone. I wish to offer an amendment to House Bill 2446 HD1.
Do I hear a second? Okay. Discussions? Recognize Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President, and under discussion, I wish to just on the outset inform the members and yourself, Mr. President, and the viewing public and the ones that are joining us this evening that we are entertaining a legislation of a budget ceiling of 179,701,969, of which we made your committee made some substantive amendment, primarily on the clarifying provisions on several sections of the budget bill. And if there is no objection from the members, I wish to read out some of those provisions that I think the general public and the entities that need to be aware what the Senate had engaged with the last few weeks or few days that we worked on the budget appropriation.
If I may, Chair, there are no objections, but I also want to, because by rule we have 5 minutes per member, but I just want to let you know that we will yield as much time from any members so that you can articulate the differences in what has been changed from the House. So, by all means, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. And primarily on page 21, under section 403 and donation of sick leave, the bill calls for a I'll now just read it out. Notwithstanding any loss to the contrary, when an employee donates sick leave, each hour of donated sick leave shall be counted as 1.0 hours regardless of the hourly rate that was earned by the donor or recipient, provided that the donated sick leave hours shall not exceed 1,040. And under Chapter 5, on page 22, starting on line 9, the reprogramming authority, this legislation allowed the governor up to 25% reprogramming authority, and equally similar to the reprogramming authority of the governor on page 23, line 7. The mayors of the respective municipalities are given the same authority, reprogramming authority of 25%. Moving on to page 27, line 4 on section 610 under DPS Rota, DPS Tinian, in reference to the detainees of the two municipalities, the Department of Corrections shall be responsible for all costs and expenses associated with the transportation of all detainees and inmates between the senatorial districts for all court appearances and other legally mandated activities. And line 8 on the same page, section 611 under OGM funds in excess of Office of Grants Management Budget. And notwithstanding any anything to the contrary if the OGM receives in excess of 937,843,000 that is allotted to OGM as provided under 1 CMC subsection 2893A. The excess shall be reserved for the group health, life insurance, GHLI, and the CNMI's government's obligation to the retirees' 25% pension payment. Saying on the same page, on line 13 under section 612, hazardous pay, the solid waste management shall pay the amount of 179,691 of hazardous pay owed to Saipan, Tinian, and Rota employees from Solid Waste Management Revolving Fund, collected under Title II, Sections 3551. The obligation shall be prioritized and fully satisfied before any other funds are expended for other programs. With respect to the payment of hazardous pay, there shall be a written report submitted by the Secretary of Finance and Department of Public Works to the presiding officers by the end of the first quarter of fiscal year 2026. On page 29, on line 1, section, I apologize, Mr. President, on page 28, line 7, section 614, under MVA trust funds, notwithstanding 4 CMC subsection 2159, the Secretary of Finance shall transfer the monthly share of 8 hotel occupancy tax to the respective mayors. Additionally, the Secretary shall account the transfers and ensure that the respective mayors receive not less than 175,000 before the end of the fiscal year. Line 13, the funds shall be remitted on a quarterly basis in the amount of $43,750. And on line 14, item C, each mayor must submit a quarterly report within 30 days after the end of each quarter. Line 16, saying on the same page, section 615, Commonwealth Casino members, notwithstanding 4 CMC subsection 2308, 2309, or any CNMI law to the contrary, the Secretary of Finance shall reserve $210,000 from the $2.7 million received from IPI settlement agreement, as these special revenue funds have a clear nexus to said payment to pay a portion of the salaries owed to the former Commonwealth Casino members, and payments shall be distributed as allocated in Schedule B. On page 29, section 616, payment of 25% to retirees. Notwithstanding 4 CMC subsection 2308 and 2309, the balance of $2,490,000 shall be reserved by the Secretary of Finance for payments towards the 25% CNMI share of the settlement fund payments for FY 2026. On line 5, section 617, outside source received by the CNMI. Any funds received by the CNMI government from the federal government or other outside sources shall be identified by the governor and reported to the legislature for appropriation. On page 35, line 9, under G, Department of Labor, of the amount appropriated to the CNMI Department of Labor, the sum of $10,000 shall be remitted to the Rota Department of Labor under the expenditure authority of Rota Department of Lands and Department of Labor Resident Director in consultation with the Mayor of Rota to fund apprenticeship and training programs of U.S. citizens to augment Rota's workforce, and $10,000 shall be remitted to the Tinian Department of Labor under the expenditure authority of Tinian Department of Labor Resident Director in consultation with the Mayor of Tinian and fund apprenticeship and training programs of U.S. citizens to augment Tinian's workforce. Finally, Mr. President, the under page 45, covering Department of Public Lands, the committee had increased the funding for FY26 for the personnel operation of DPL from $4.8 million to $8 million. $6 million. And I think the most one of the significant portion of the funds of this provision is on line 3 is of the funds within the DPO holding account. The sum of $4 million shall be remitted to the Marianas Public Land Trust on or before October 15, 2025, in addition to other constitutional and statutory remittance. And Mr. President, that is all I have for now. I yield back my time.
Thank you, Chairman Hochschneider. The floor is still open for discussion. Recognized floor leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. And just to continue on with some of the explanations that was shared by the Chairman of Fiscal Affairs, I do want to inform the public that the administration had the opportunity to submit the budget on April 1st and then subsequently on July 1st. And so the committee or the House had passed a version based on the numbers that were submitted during that time. Now, the Fiscal Affairs Committee was in the middle of the budget deliberations, and it wasn't until this past Monday that we received notice of the reduction in the projected revenues. And so I think that was the approach that both the House and the Senate had agreed to, was to continue with the product that was passed by the House and go off of the 179. And in the event that the administration, upon signing this bill into law, should there be any changes within any additional resources, the House and the Senate can consider any revision to the budget. We just got the notice a few days ago in regards to these new projected revenues that just wouldn't give us enough time to make the necessary adjustments that would allow for us to pass a product that would avert any shutdown. And so that is the understanding by both houses, and that's what we hope that the administration can consider. Additionally, during our deliberations these past 3 days, we've called in the Secretary of Finance as well as the Special Assistant for OMB and had addressed some of the concerns that were raised from these recalculated projections. We've asked for additional information to help resolve some of the issues that have caused these drop or decline in revenue resources. And we want to ensure the public that the committee, the Fiscal Affairs Committee, as well as the House, have agreed to and will consider a lot of these amendments that are that we need to make in order to recalculate these projections and hopefully bring us a little closer to what was initially projected at 179 million. Some of these initiatives include amendments to the construction tax, which was signed into law last year. Another one is the transient accommodations bill that is currently in the House that the Fiscal Affairs will consider. And also the changes to the casino law. We heard from the governor that there are some concerns that was shared there, and so that's something that we have worked with the former casino commissioners on in regards to what were some of the challenges that were faced there, so that we can make these changes to the bill, and hopefully that'll invite more investors into the cinema. And so once we address all of that, I think that's something that we can work with the administration on in trying to reevaluate these projections and hopefully bring us back to what was initially proposed. And then I know there has been a lot of concerns surrounding what's happening at PSS, but as we've just mentioned, a lot of our actions that these past few days resulted in just the time limitations that we were given to try to address these challenges. We know that there may be some discussions going on with MPOT and PSS, and until that time comes, if ever they were to sign an agreement to pull out that loan for the 29 million, then we can address some of these shortfalls that weren't addressed in this current packet. And so some of that may go to PSS, some of that could address some of the GHLI unfunded obligations. And so we hope that the administration together with the legislature and MPOT can come to a resolution on how we can move forward with that 29 million, in which should address a lot of the shortfall that we're experiencing right now. So that's all I wanted to share in addition to what the chairman had brought up. And with that, I want to thank the House Ways and Means Committee for hearing some of our concerns so that we can all come up with a final product that is agreed upon by both houses, and so that could speed up the process and hopefully it'll be on the governor's desk sometime tomorrow if the House pursues their session tomorrow after we convene today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Floor Leader Magnolia. Floor is still open. Recognize Senator Castro.
Mr. President, I just wanted to thank the members of the Senate Fiscal Affairs Committee, as well as the House Ways and Means Committee. You know, the way we worked together the past week to kind of not just look at the challenges that we're facing on the short term, but also looking at all the gaps in terms of services and process so that we can mitigate the situation that we're facing right now. You know, in terms of the budget, it's not really a best case scenario, but just as a reminder to all the agencies right now that are in this budget bill, the importance of really taking care of our business community, our investors that are here. We have a lot of serious investors. I want to give a special shout out to and you know, thank you to Commonwealth Economic Development Authority, its executive directors, and also Department of Public Lands for their continued work in dealing with the many investors that are interested in helping diversify our economy. A message to all the permitting agencies, regulatory agencies to please work with these investors, because many of them are legit global U.S. Investors. These are not the middlemen that we've been used to due to things happening nationally and internationally. CNMI has a lot of advantages, and they're looking at the CNMI to invest. So we just need to take care of these investors so that we can see this, you know, the business through. It can bring in the GDP that is going to help fund a lot of our activities. So again, thanks to all the members for their work in this regard and getting this out. But I know it's going to be coming back. But to all our government agencies, please continue to do your very best, and at the same time, take care of the people that are looking to invest in the CNMI, because now we need them now more than ever. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Castro. Floor is still open for any members. I'll recognize Senator Calvo and then Hofschneider.
Thank you, Senate Press. I just wanted to, as well, over the last couple of days when the initial announcement came to fruition, you know, we did have that public hearing in regards to the financial assessment, and this is the real deal. You know, that financial assessment is true to the numbers, and I would like to thank, you know, our Fiscal Affair Committee for their diligent effort in working together with the ask, the wants and needs from the different departments. Also working with the Ways and Means Committee from the House in regards to creating that transparency with the ask, and it is a process. It's not an easy one in regards to the declaration of where our financial situation is, and in request for, you know, some federal support. You know, I'd like to ask the general public for their patience in regards to and support in regards to the different deliberations that we have to go through. Also, be looking forward to, because for the public school system, as the chairman, they do have a lot of, you know, up and rising concerns in regards to the implementation of cost-saving measures and trying to accommodate things as we're in that process. You know, they will be announcing their, like they stated on the paper, their public hearings, so we will revisit that And as a chairperson, we will address all of the many concerns during this, situation. So I'd like to yield. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Senator Como. Recognize Senator Hofstadter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just going to add a little bit more to some of the members' comments earlier. Over the last few days, we've been having a joint meeting with administration, and there's a lot of revelations and a lot of critical piece of information that are publicly, known right now, and that is for a reason that there is a heavy discussion on collaborative effort with both houses of the legislature and the administration. So, but the goal is to get a product over to the governor to consider and avert a unnecessary shutdown or government operation. So, it's already known that we're going to be revisiting the projection level, as also some of the recommended legislations that can help navigate us through in short term and hopefully long term. So we look forward to that, Mr. President. I think we're all in this together. In as much as we want to give what all the agencies need, their needs and wants were limited to a projection merely. In anticipation of the loan, the $29 million, the declaration has already been made known publicly. Now we await the process to which we're going to be receiving a notification from administration as far as the revenue for the next 12 months into 2026. So I look forward to that, Mr. President. I also wish to thank the leadership of the Ways and Means of the House for working together with us to really flush out there's really not much difference, Mr. President. It's just we did the inverted way of in lieu of, instead of a shutdown or a conference committee, we agreed to work to have a product in time for the governor's review and hopefully signing it into law. So thank you again, and I yield back.
Thank you, Chairman. Recognize Senator Paul.
Situsmansia, Mr. President. Gikinizongo gi mapus na sakan magufu sama masa 8 horas ya empleado. Pues gikine kalomo madisukuti pago pa fan madrop papa sinya 16 horas na. Pues guardangkulo na diferensya para makomprender ne total tagay nung gi mapus na simona no madiskuti 179 pico na milyon para budget i Commonwealth. 5 días después matuno kata na 156 dididi milyon no Guahata. Pues gimapos na simona ane 179 tauza gaigi gi konsensan mommy i kapaben sapota i 29 milyon na loan na gaigi gi MPLT na inquintutu si MPLT. Timapo dedo pata decide ako moling na desisyon patazo 29 milyon par boba sa esta gua 179 ne para ta opera i gobernamentota. Pues 23 milyon tumunog gi alum un semana ne esta para ben cumplia i budget. Pues nigi ne mangaigi pago no pues pago ele kuna toda esta no isota choice debe de ta sozo já o possível 29 milhões a necessidade para ta balança mona tudo e cuidar na necessidade para i-medicate, i-hospital, i-eskwela, taungo ka, eskwela, no siya actually mas pumongon isti, probleman finkasta zamarana siya no manuzong za taungo gini ni maestro mamagas siya siya mas pumongon dongklo na seryoso ni tafafana muna za na tsuka gipago gua siya kwestiyono nesti 21 na 1 milyon na patanay PSS lo magufo na animunya zota chairman zan para i-House and i-Senate, i-membro siya na mamachatsong na machagi para mabalansa estimonang i-kada na tempo na esta tafafana otro semana zang intaza budget mautsu may gobernamento. Pues i-question pa ako gini i-MPLT zenigi na no tafafasin ni administrasyon idang kluno na zurunia za farmachatsung na ni public land trust sa gwa concern niya no gwa na taungog zi iling niya margin account na klasin no pafan huzong za famandibi dati nisaryo no ma-withdraw i-frinkas niya o fanazawa zo man na testigo i-hafa na ijunia investment inigi malago niya MPLT za ilay na mapasag imapos na semana titagwenaw no nalingway pues ojalá mon na otro semana uwakin emprendi za tatsulizi 29 milyon za ta kumpli inisidad niya i-public school system no naginagagaw 25% law taungo ka ginin siya na kumamamanoy siya masya 40 milyon tranquilo na no siya maopera muna i-public school system. Pues giyano na sensya para ta pareo mamamadesi dididi na ginata no nanay dongklo na si Jesus Mosi i-public school system za masya gipago na pupoingi para tanaw siya 31 milyon ipiko guha mamamayla na siya patasagi ni na sinyotsa pata augmente na ulo. Pues magufo sa iritiraw no man maatendia mamanoy sa lapinya na paramuan na pagwa 25% na deduction no manoy i-medicate na para ta sigura na para ta matseji mamanaita sa komuti ta matsejo simpi mamalingwit za otro semana simpi bagang olum mamagas i-public health siya hospital zan i-medicate za pabenina mas pues banakarera Mr. President bula para tatsogi za bula tangongo ko na sinya manadyo da zan si Governor Apatan, Lieutenant Governor zan i-finance planning and budget zan i-MVA, CPA, CIP no zan i-SIDA zan i-Department of Public Land bula problema we met with public land just yesterday. There are many things that we can do. For example, we have Marianas Resort. It's been sitting there, and I'm glad that Senator Corina, the chairwoman, finally came out and said the Senate because they failed to come up with all the requirements and answer the questions that were posed by both houses to move forward. So now DPL has to take that, and it cannot be business as usual. They have to decide what to do with that big property at Marianas Resort. The same thing, the proposal by Senator Jude on the Canoa Resort. We got to move that. Rota Resort, we put out an RFP 3 times over the last year and a half. It seems that we just cannot get it over the line. And so these are all our fault. The public has nobody to blame but us. And I'm glad that that now we're continuing to get together and work on these issues. And the commitment is there by this leadership now. And what I'm hearing out there was that in 2020 we saw the urgency to get together to come and form a group. We had a major conference. We had outlines on what to do in the months and years that follow, and then we got all this money and we sat back, and now we're caught with, it's like a deja vu coming back, and it seems like this is the, in my term in the legislature is like the fourth or fifth time that we come to this point where we're talking about reduction in force, about who are the essential services and who we're gonna lay off, and it's just sad because this shouldn't continue to happen every 5 to 10 years. So we owe it to our people from CPA, Commonwealth Ports Authority, to fix our airports, to work on the airline issue with MVA, from MVA to Capital Improvement Project Office doing the CIP projects, Office of Development, pushing those projects instead of asking for time extension after time extension. We heard from Grand Office that the more we spend our money, the more we get indirect costs. And why is it that the 702 money, we can get up to 11 million a year, but for the last 10 years we're only getting $8 million, and that's based on our report card on how fast we use our money and how efficient we manage the projects. So these are the issues before us, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but when we're gonna deduct 8 hours from our employees and we're gonna start laying off people, this is very hard to tell our people out there, and that's why I just want to mention at this point that in revisiting the budget in the next week or so, as we get help from our 902 talk, because of the hardworking effort by our Secretary of Finance and our Congresswoman in DC, everyone in the 902 team, as we see help coming from them, turning around our tourism and moving our projects and all these other potential areas that we can increase the revenue, we hope to see some changes also in our government. And I want to say that in the next piece of legislation, there will be provision in there to make sure that when we pay also our employees 8 hours, that they're working for 8 hours. Because when we're cutting 8 hours from hardworking employees, we want to make sure that everybody is working also. And that's what I get calls in, that we have ghost employees in our government. So we gotta make sure that, when you're on payroll, that you're doing work. So that's a provision that I hope to see in the next budget, a provision to ensure that our timekeepers are certified and that they are actually certifying the actual hours that are being put in. Because when we're gonna be laying off people and cutting the hours, we gotta make sure that we're all in the same boat here, facing the same challenges. There are other provisions that some members have raised and that we should address. Pasensya na, no, Mr. President, dispensa ko lang anak ko so lumago po sa mo no unayam didi no minuto lo bisangan na mamaka dito tota geno pwede di siya i manungkota ni manmalongo za manggagasta para ispitan niya depois para takat 25% no ti pamasosede no gini na budget lo ti usagugo como ti tatsogi si tota simple mamatid geno. So si Jesus Masi, Chairman Jude, and members siya ni mananimo i-house, no, si Chairman JP, and i-magatsong niya, ni mananimo, no, Jomo leadership, Mr. President, si Jesus Masi.
Thank you, Senator Magnolia, and thank you for not making me have to call you on time. With that being said, I would like to take a short recess, please. Okay, members, we rise back to session. We are still under the discussion for the amendments that Senator Hofschneider had enumerated, Chairman of Fiscal Affairs. If there are no other discussions, I would like to say my piece with regards to the product that we're putting forward for the public. Obviously, there has been many discussions from the onset of the submission of the budget through now. The budget affects everybody. There isn't one entity that isn't affected by the funds that we allocate. That being said, I want to commend both the chairman and members of the Fiscal Affairs Committee, as well as the Ways and Means Chair and members, for their efforts to ensure that we are allowing ourselves the maximum opportunity to provide and cover down for all the departments that fall under the umbrella that is the CNMI. This has not been a simple, easy task. We all found out about it around the same time, and every budget is unique in its own right. In my opinion, this budget has its own fingerprints. So thank you all, and I do know that this is a version, a copy that will be signed into law, but this is not the end of this budget. We will return back in short order to begin to identify and understand what the ripple effects of the reduction in the ceiling of allocations, the ceiling identified for allocation means to the central, to the CNMI government, as well as all of our first responders and all of the downstream effects that has import on. With that, I'm going to go ahead and that is my time, and I'll kindly ask the clerk to please call the roll on the amendment.
Senator Calvo,
Yes.
Senator Castro,
Good.
Senator Cruz,
Yes.
Senator Hofschneider,
Again.
Senator Mangofnia,
Yes.
Senator Maglonia Dono,
Yes.
Senator Maglonia Paul,
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Mr. President, all 8 members present voted yes.
With 8 members voting yes, the amendment offered by Senator Hofschneider hereby passes. Now we're on to the main motion under discussion.
Ready?
Everybody's ready? Clerk, kindly close the roll.
Senator Calvo,
Yes.
Senator Castro,
Good.
Senator Cruz,
Yes.
Senator Hofschneider,
Again.
Senator Mangofnia,
Yes.
Senator Maglonia Dono,
Yes.
Senator Maglonia Paul,
Yes.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Mr. President, all 8 members voted yes.
With all 8 members voting yes, House Bill number 24-46 passes this Senate in the form of Senate Substitute 1. On to the next item of agenda. Q, petition, memorials, and miscellaneous communications. Anybody has any members? None. Announcements? Members? None. And with that, I recognize the floor leader for the proper motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I move to adjourn today's session, subject to the call of the chair.
There has been a motion made to adjourn today's session, subject to my call, and has been seconded. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? This session stands adjourned at 7:04 p.m., subject to my call. Good evening, everyone.